Hello, this is Charles with ElevateCode.com. In this video, I'll show you how to build the class to do the Hello World PDF file. Let's start a Visual Basic project. Select Windows Forms. Let's name the project PDF Project. Next, we'll need to add a class to the project. Then let's rename the class to Class PDF. Then we need to import a couple namespace references. First, we need the Specialized Collection. Then we'll need the text namespace. Now that that's done, let's create a cross-reference table collection of type name value. Then we need a collection for our page text. Finally, we'll need a string builder to store our file. Next, we need a variable to store our PDF object count. Then we need a variable for our page tree, our string length, and then finally our string count. The first PDF object we'll build will be the file header, which will return a string. I'm going to hardcode this version to 1.7. The next PDF object is going to be our standard font object. All of our PDF objects will return a string. When we add an object to the file, we need to update the reference table. We'll create a stub for that now and code it later. Next, we need a variable to create our font object. Objects start with their number and the OBJ keyword. The character return line feed is an end of line marker. The double angle brackets indicate a key value pair. This dictionary describes a type of font with a subtype of type 1, which is the built-in fonts. Next, we'll hardcode our font name to F1. The F1 will reference our base font name of Helvetica. Next, we'll close our key name value pair and end our object. Return our variable, and that will end our standard font object. The next PDF object we'll create is our root catalog. Let me scroll it a little bit. Next, we'll update our reference table and create a return variable. The update reference table will return our object number. Next, we need our dictionary name type value of type catalog. Next, we need to create a variable for our next available object. We can get this simply by adding 1 to our PDF object count. The slash character introduces the name of the next PDF object. Number and the OR indicates the reference to that object. The root catalog needs to point to our outlines and our pages objects. Then we enter name value pair and end our PDF object. Return our variable to end our root catalog. Our next PDF object will be our outlines as described in our root catalog. Update our reference table and create our string variable. Then set our object number. Set our dictionary name value to outlines. We don't have any outlines, so we'll set our count to 0. Enter name value pair and our PDF object. Then return our string value. Our next PDF object will be the page tree as outlined in our root catalog. Again, we'll update our reference table and create our string variable. Assign our PDF object number. Assign our PDF object count to our page tree variable. Create our dictionary name value pair of type pages. Next, we need a variable to keep track of the pages that go in the page tree, setting its initial value to the PDF object count, then incrementing it by 2 to deal with the resources object. Next, we'll create our kids array. The square bracket indicates an array will follow. This array only has one object, and we will end it with the other square bracket. We only have one page in this file, so we'll set the count to 1. Next, we need a variable to point to our resource object, setting its initial value to the PDF object count, then increment it by 1. Next, it will set a reference to our resource object, end our dictionary name pair, then end our PDF object, return our string variable. Our next PDF object will be our resources object. Update our reference table and create our string variable. Set our PDF object count. Set our dictionary name pair array. Set a pointer to our font resource. Close both our dictionaries and end our object. Then return our string variable. Our next PDF object is our page object. Update our reference table and create a string variable. Number our PDF object. Create our dictionary of type page. Set our parent to point back to the page tree reference. Next, we'll set the page size by our media box, passing in an array of values. As before, we need to get our next available object, incrementing it by 1. Then we need to set a reference to the contents of the page. Close the dictionary object, end our PDF object, return our string variable. Our next PDF object is a content stream. Again, update our reference table and create us a string variable. Set the PDF object value. We need to figure the next available object again. Increment it by 1. Create the dictionary object length and have it point to the next available object. Now we'll close the dictionary object. Then we'll create a stream object. Create a variable to keep track of the length of the stream. Add our line break to the stream. Next, we need to loop through our collection for the contents of this page. By preceding the page number for the content, it's easy to rip it out of the collection. I'll demonstrate this later. Test for which page the contents belong. For now, we only have one page. Looping through the collection, building the stream. Once that's built, we need to calculate our stream length. Then we'll call our endStream keyword. Set our PDF end object and return our string variable. Our next PDF object is our stream length object. Update our table reference and create us a string variable. Set our PDF object number. Write our stream length value. End our PDF object and return our string value. Next, we do our coding for update reference table. First, we'll increment our PDF object count. Then add our PDF objects to our cross-reference collections table. Next, we'll build our cross-reference table. Declare our string variable. Set its value to xref. Our object count starts with a leading 0. Next, we need a variable to store our object count. Increment it by 1 and add the collections cross-reference count. Add the object count to the variable. Hard code the next line, it never changes. Next, we'll create a couple of variables for formatting. Loop through the keys of our cross-reference collection. Retrieving our offset for all PDF objects. Then padding the integer with our leading zeros. And finally finish by returning our string variable. The next PDF object is our file trailer, passing in our offset to the cross-reference table. Next, we'll create a string variable and set it to trailer. Then we'll create a dictionary pair, setting its size to the PDF object count. Next, we have to point to the root object reference. Close the dictionary. Write start xref keyword. Add the offset value and end the file marker. Then return the string value. Let's scroll up and create a couple of subs. The first sub will emulate .NET's drawString method, passing in our text and its location. Create a string variable, setting the text color to black. Then we add the begin text keyword. Then we'll set the font and its size. Then we'll set the text start position on the page. Then we'll place the text to be drawn inside parentheses. We'll end the text with an ET keyword. Update our string count. Then add this string to our page collection. And finally, we'll create a sub to write out the PDF file. Using the string builder variable, we simply need to add the PDF objects in their order. Then we can get the file length to the cross-reference table, allowing us to pass in the byte offset to a cross-reference table. Then we can use the file system's writeAllText method. That completes the class for this project. Now I'll demonstrate how to use the class. Add a button to the form and position it. Select the button and rename it to BTN Hello World. Set its text to Hello World. Double click it to get to the code behind. Create a variable of type class PDF. Next, we'll use our drawString method, passing in Hello World and our offsets. Next, we'll create a path to our desktop. Then simply call our writePDF method, and then a message box saying we're done.